Hello, it's Neil Getz here, and today it is beginning of mid-March 2024. It's a relatively windy but dry and quite warm day in Aberdeenshire, and I'm at a single standing stone. It's described, although I think it's categorised quite rightly as a stone circle. It's called Gask, so Gask, Gask. And this stone stands in the middle of a field, and there's a corresponding stone there and a corresponding stone there, which we'll go and explore in a wee while. But just a quick topology then. Apologies for the sound if I turn into the wind. So looking towards the sun, so a bit south. So fairly flat, although it undulates down that way, maybe undulates up a little bit on that side. Not on a great rise, not on a great fall or anyway. Relatively flat. However, I think there's a bit of a fall off that way and a fall off that way, so maybe a small rise is the best way to describe it. The documentation for this stone is pretty sparse. There's, I think, the kind of traditional archaeology type report from about 120 years ago indicating a possible stone circle, and that's because this stone had, I think it's maybe that one that was on, it's across the wall, was originally just over here. So with that, and that, I think that one that was maybe fallen's been propped up against the wall as well, created the kind of idea that there's a stone circle. I'm in no doubt there's a stone circle been here before. That pile of stones there, pile of stones over there, a pile of stones there, down there, and I can even just tell from just this distance and looking at them that there's at least a handful of stones that are as shaping as this one. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't field spoil. 99.9999% of all that rubble in any field is a field spoil, without a doubt. And I know I'm going to sound completely arsey by saying this, but when you've been round a few circles, you kind of see a kind of pattern of either dressed or selected stones for a circle. And I'll maybe do a little cut round about at the end just to have a look at a couple of stones that I think are potential circle stones that were originally here. So yeah, so this is let's have a wee look at this one then. It's probably about 2.2 high. You can tell it's either been selected for its angles, or it's been dressed, particularly up here, right down this ridge, this flat surface, grey granite with some quartz in it. It's lovely, nice seam running right down there. Nice bit of quartz round about here. This is clearly the unweathered side with all the moss and lichen on it. A nice granite quartz seam down that side. I'm a wee bit concerned about how close the tractors come, because that's the tractor and tyre, so yeah, fairly close to the stone. And I suspect when the original surveys were done and that stone over there was standing, I suspect at some point it's fallen or been knocked over, and instead of re-erecting it, what they've done is they've just moved it across to the side of the field. So let's go across and have a look at the other stones. So here we're back across to the edge of the field, and there's the standing stone, as it's known as Gask, and just beside me is I think what would have been north standing originally until about maybe 60, 70 years ago. And it's again, trying not to be too clever about it, but it does seem to have, again, a nice flat face, a certain angle, another flat face, person height, although I'm a hobbit. There is looks like a cup mark here. Nice quartz in the seam. A nice flat surface here. Now, keeping in mind that if it is the stone circle stone, which I think pretty much everybody suggests it is, that it's probably seen a fair bit of action and damage. So that top section could have easily been chipped off or knocked off with all the, we're talking about decades and centuries of farming, although it was all done by hand originally, obviously, and then moving on to horses, and then moving on to steam tractors, which I think was a big thing in Aberdeenshire, especially when it came to purchasing that kind of technology and machinery on the back of Aberdeen Angus, which brought up a lot of wealth into the area. So, clearing fields became relatively straightforward and easy from that point of view. Let's go and have a look at the next one. So just from orientation then, there's Gask in the middle of the field, and there's the north, or the northern stone of it. And this is the stone that has apparently always been here, but it's clearly not socketed. It's not in the ground. It's just been placed here against the wall. So at some point in the past, it's a stone circle stone that's been moved, and this is more of a slab stone, kind of relatively naturally flat on this side. Flat looks like on the other side against the wall, pretty flat, but more of a slab for sure on this one. There's potentially a couple of cup marks there maybe, but they're a bit faint and shallow. I wouldn't have thought there's much really there to be looked at, but a fair seam under here. You could, if this, you can imagine this was maybe a chip that had been, or a large knock that had been taken out the stone. This could easily be a relatively slim recumbent, easy, no bother. But I think as it stands, it's pretty much a slab circle stone that's been part of this larger circle that's been out in the field. Now I'm down at the south kind of fence dike. Again, there's Gask, and there's the two stones up at the wall there. I'm just going to turn around and look at this stone here that's part of this large spoil. Now there's large spoils practically in every corner of this field, but again, it seems a bit on the flat side and well dressed, and you'd expect that to be a standing stone or maybe a circle stone perhaps, and there's a couple up in this larger ones that are clearly spoil, but there's maybe one or two that are looking like there's maybe some kind of shape to them. And if it was a circle, which everybody kind of agrees it most likely was, where are the other stones? They're just likely to be pulled across to the edge. So this has got a strong possibility of being one of the circle stones. So I hope you've enjoyed a little walk through this standing stone stroke stone circle at Gask on this sunny March windy day in Aberdeenshire. Thanks very much.